Yeah, although we can't assume just because it's North Melbourne that we're going to get a victory. We need to play a lot better than what we've been playing. They're a really good, talented young team, and they've troubled everyone that they've played this year for periods of games. So we know that we're facing a good opposition, and we've just got to get our own act together. Albeit we haven't played poorly in the first 3 weeks. We've had some good patches and we've played good teams. So we'll try and build on what we did last week against Collingwood, which is pretty good for most of the time.
How have you sort of kept the boys up and kept the belief there this week?
No, they keep themselves up. We had a good look at the parts of the game that we did really well, and it's the best we've done it this year. The visual evidence is always the best evidence, and so too is the statistical evidence. So if you look at the game, there was a lot of areas in the game where we were in the green, not in the red. So you always look for the positives and try and work on the things that are probably letting you down a little bit. Like, for us, we're positive 13 on inside 50s against our opposition this year, but we're not getting enough reward for those entries at the moment. So that's our, you don't have to be Einstein to work that out, but that's our biggest work on it. It'll be a worse problem if we weren't getting it in there.
Have you pointed back to 2021 at all? A year where you did dig yourself out of an early hole?
Yeah. Oh, look, you always go back on past history and past experiences to draw on. Just because you did it once, though, doesn't mean it's naturally going to happen again. You've got to make it happen. So that's the task that we have ahead of us.
What effect has the last few days had on your playing group, or has it had an effect? The stories that have come out over.
That was dealt with the other day, Michael. So let that be. I think they've been a happy group all pre-season, is all I can say, and I've seen no evidence of what was reported in the media. And I think I'm a pretty good judge of how social interactions and relationships are going with team members. Probably that's one of my strengths. So I saw no evidence of any disharmony, which was what was suggested.
Can you use the outside noise as a galvanising force this week?
Oh, well, all clubs do that all the time, when you're under the pump, so we'll be no different to that. At the end of the day, all we've got is each other, so we'll just be working hard at trying to get back to being the best version of ourselves this weekend.
Young Logan Morris, he's been in good form. Is he starting to put a bit of heat on to maybe give a spot one?
Yeah, he's had some good performances both in the pre-season and in the more recent times in VFL games. So he's pretty close to getting a look in.
How have you embraced this week, Fags? You're a team that's won so many games over the last 5 years. I think it's been 5 or 6 years since you lost 3 in a row. So the challenge of turning the team the tide, I guess. How have you embraced that?
I always believe in moving towards the obstacles, not away from them. What are the problems? Let's try and fix them. So that's how we've gone about this week. Don't dodge anything. Accept full responsibility for the way things are going, myself included, and just get on with it. That's the best way to live your life, because not everything goes perfectly. It's sport. This group have been on top of their game for a long time. It's the last time we lost 3 games in a row, I think, was back in 2018. That is a long time. So we've been a very consistent group, and we've hit a little bump in the road right now. But you've got to have some fun trying to work your way through it and know and have confidence that eventually we'll get there. So that's how I see it. That's how I've tried to live my life. So nothing's going to change here.
You talk about those inside 50s, that you had a good look at the game again since then. Were you happy with the way the ball was going inside? What do you think was happening?
Look, it's been a mixture in all the games, to be honest with you. I look at the 3 games, not just the one game in isolation. First game was simply a matter of conversion. We took 16 marks, we had 25 shots and another 5 that we kicked out in full. That's 30 shots. Wins you most games of football. So that one was okay. The Fremantle game was a mixture of giving away free kicks, getting beaten at the fall of the ball, dropping marks, and delivery a little bit too shallow at times. And on the weekend, it was simply, for me, drop marks and missed kicks inside 50. So it's been a little bit different. You can't just put your finger on one thing. And So they're the things that we've worked on this week, try to be a little bit better at. Our connection has usually been good. I mean, we've been a team that's historically over the last few years, we've been very good at converting inside 50s to scores. At the moment, we're going through a patch where we're not doing that as well as we would like, but we're still getting the opportunities, so it's just a matter of tidying a few. It's more skill than decision things than anything else.
Sticking to mark, like, what do you say to the boys to do that better a week later? Is it just one of those things, or do you work on that?
Well, but they're always working on it. If you come here and watch training, they're always jumping into marking bags and doing one-on-one contested marking practice. Nothing's really changed about our training. It's always we do the same things like you practice goal kicking. You practice it all the time. Sometimes you have good games and sometimes you have bad games. But what you do is I think the key to it all is not to overreact and just stick with what you know works, and things turn in footy. I think sometimes the biggest mistake you can make is to jump around too much and change too many things, and then you'll lose the essence of who you are as a team, and blokes really start not believing themselves.
Someone like Eric Hipwood, I think, would you say he's been below his best this season?
He was definitely below his best the other night. Kicked 3 against Fremantle and was decent. He was reasonable against Carlton, and he had a really good pre-season. So he's had one bad game. It was a bad game, but it was one bad game.
You stick with him?
Well, we've got to get through training, mate. So we don't play till Friday. What is it today? Wednesday? Yeah, so we haven't finished selection yet, so I can't categorically say yes or no to anyone at the moment.
Time's a bit of a circle there, isn't it? Because it was.
What's that?
Time is a bit of a circle in some ways, isn't it? Because a year ago there was heat on him and Joe, and they ended up with having almost career best season between them. So that's funny.
Yeah,
How
well, that's why I talk about don't catastrophise things. You know, with 3 games in, you know, maybe they just take a little while to hit their straps, those guys. So we'll just see. You know, Joe was really good against Fremantle, for instance. So. Form can come and go. They'll be no doubt working their hardest to make sure they turn that around this week.
What difference does the venue make this Friday? Somewhere you haven't played and it's a bit of a different shape, and you're trying to get your best footy back, but it's a...
Well, venue, the type of ground that you play in is always a consideration, and we haven't played there before, and neither have North Melbourne, so it's equal in that regard. We know it's a narrow ground, so that poses challenges with ball movement in particular. So, we'll address some of those things this morning at training, as we did on Monday morning when we trained.
The Darcy forward backup ruckman situation versus Joe Danaher sort of pinch hitting. Where do you sit with that? How do you think that's worked?
Yeah, so we've given them one go, and we played against a team last week who had Cameron and Cox, 2 ruckmen in their team, and I felt like in the grand final the year before that they wore Oscar down. So our decision last week, particularly with Darcy Gardner not being available, was we'll try and make a positive out of that, and we'll select Darcy Fort to play up forward in the second ruck, which he's done many times before, and we've won many games doing that. So that's the reason why we went with that decision. I don't think it's the reason why we lost the game, but that's the logic behind it. I think that's sound logic.
Tom's having surgery today, is that right? Is that like here or down in, Adelaide?
In Adelaide, yeah. So, sorry, I don't know all the details. I just know he's having surgery, didn't know where, so yes, in Adelaide.
Yeah, how's he going in terms of mental?
It's tough, isn't it? You know, it's been too much of that around our club lately, but he's a stoic sort of character. He's been through this before. He knows how to deal with it, but the most important thing is that we make sure, and we will make sure, that we, support him fully as he does his rehabilitation, and hopefully he's ready to be a player for us at the start of next year.
Thanks.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Chris.